Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Michael Koku, a trained physician and a certified speaker, coach, and trainer with the Maxwell Leadership. And you're welcome to the Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast, a podcast where we talk about development in the place of a leader and the significance of mentorship for every leader. And with me today is such a very revered, guest and a friend of mine. Is, someone that I've really inspired so many. She is a principal by profession, but the beauty of her life is she has discovered who she is, and everything she does is based on that. Knowing who she is, she's secured in her own skin, and that's why I brought her to the podcast. I don't bring people without substance. I want people that will add value to you, and dear listener, and I believe you will be transformed by what you have to share. So I would like to introduce her, to introduce herself properly, so that you can get to meet her. Welcome with me, Dr. Kenisha Williams.
Woohoo! Well, thank you so much, my friend. Listen, if you are listening to this, you need to lean into Dr. Michael. There was a very pivotal moment in my life just last year that he was one of my thinking partners. And when I tell you, he was able to coach me through that season and significant to my life. So he's a great mentor. He's a great friend. So thank you. I'm honored to be here. So listen, for the last 22 years, I have been in the field of public education by way of kindergarten teacher, first grade teacher, fifth grade teacher, fourth grade teacher in the States and then in Japan, right? Came back to the States, then was an assistant principal for 2 years, and then had the opportunity to be a principal at the same school for 13 years at an elementary school. And on that 13th year, I was released within that school district to do full-time what I'm doing now, which is speaking, training, and coaching around DISC, around self-leadership, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then I just resigned after 22 years. But listen, I wasn't running from, I was running to. And what is that to? The to that I was running to is that passion that is within me to be a speaker, trainer, coach, mentor, mentee, all of it. So that's what I'm doing now, full time, living the dream. Check this out. I'm not just being successful. I have that. I've got 2 doctorate degrees, folks. I've got like 6 degrees. It's not about just success. Leadership is about significance.
Yeah.
It's about adding value from your place of strength. So that's who I am. It's what I do in a little baby nutshell.
Wow. Dr. Kenisha Williams, she's so passionate. See, I love passionate people. People of passion are people that fuel us into motion, and that's who she is. She's just an high, just like me. Now, Dr. Kenisha, at what point in your life that you have the awareness of your leadership potential? Because I believe everyone in this world have inbuilt in us the leadership potential. God gave it to every one of us as a seed. But we know that a seed does not grow himself. A seed has the potential, but there must be, that seed must be put in the right environment. And then other factors like the air, water, sun comes into place for that seed to become a huge tree. That might be the least of all that seed, like a mustard seed. But when it is grown, it becomes the greatest of all, that even all the birds of the air want to come under it. I mean, people want to come and take cover under you. So at what point in your life did you develop the awareness of this leadership potential that we all see today and we celebrate? Thank you.
So that's a tricky question. Let me tell you why. My mom jokes. She says, you came out of my womb bossing people around. She said, you were telling the doctor, why'd you slap me? And give me to my mom quickly. So, right. So I literally, my entire life There was something that was ingrained and in birth in me. Now, I used to just think leadership was telling people what to do, right? Being in charge. So I love that you gave the caveat about awareness. So I've been leading since a little girl. I have brothers and sisters, and I'm the oldest, telling them, instructing them what to do. Did it in middle school and high school, vice president of my class, and assistant captain on the color guard team. So just leadership positions all throughout my life. However, there's a difference in just being a leader and knowing it intuitively and even practicing it versus the awareness of being an effective leader. Now, that's a whole different dynamic. So I've always known that I was a leader. I've always had leadership positions, even since a little child, but the awareness of the intentionality behind me being aware of how Kenisha as a leader manifested, that actually started like 2 decades ago, but I was unaware. But I began to receive a lot of feedback. You see all this passion that you all are loving? Imagine now that as a leader, but unawares. Imagine a leader with a bunch of passion and gusto like I have and always have had, but they're not aware of how they're manifesting with their team. So I was receiving feedback, even growing up, Kenisha, consider others. You don't have to walk through the store and, if it's you and them, you're not going to move out of the line, so like all kinds of stuff. And then I was like, oh, that's just my mom. Oh, that's my pastor saying that. Oh, that's just them. And then when I got a secular leadership position, when I became a principal 14 years ago, that's really where, boom, it hit. It's like, now, wait a second now. This is not about you. So I had been leading for years.
Wow.
For over 3 decades. And finally, it got to a place where I could no longer be unaware of how my leadership was manifesting, because I was going to be kicked out of that leadership position had I not had an awakening. So always known, came to a place where I was unaware, then hit a leadership position that no longer allowed me to be unaware. And then went through 13 or 14 years of difficult, vehemently opposing to now being aware and how can I change, being aware and saying, you're now going to try to make me inauthentic. I'm not doing it. And all of these iterations of awareness, because it's not static. It's not just one and done. There's a process. So that's how I would answer that question.
Wow.
I've been
That's awesome.
now aware, and then I've gone through a process of increasing my awareness so that I can please with the people I serve.
In fact, that was awesome. That takes us to the next question, because someone said for change to happen, we need to be, first of all, be aware. Then number 2, we have to accept the responsibility for the change. Now, having becoming aware, so can you share with us, because I believe there is no leadership advancement. This is a leadership advancement mentorship podcast. There is no leadership advancement without leadership development. Can you share with us, because John Maxwell said, you cannot deliver what you've not developed. I believe so much in development. I'm a real advocate for development because you can lead from empty. So can you share with us, what are the price that, at what time did you take responsibility for the development of your leadership potential that leads to your leadership advancement? And can you tell us what are the price you've paid? Because the dream is free, but the cost is not.
You and these questions, Dr. Michael. You and these questions. So I have a bifurcated answer. The first one is, I've always known intellectually that I needed to advance with education. So like I mentioned earlier, I've got 6 degrees, double degrees at all levels, bachelor's, master's, doctorates, 2 of each. So I always knew that I needed to advance my leadership that way. And here's what research says, that you will get hired based upon that awareness, right? Leadership advancement of your skill set, which I believe is necessary. However, There was a time and space that in those programs, particularly my first doctorate degree, when I was learning about organizational leadership, where I began to now get this other awareness of who Kenisha was at her core and how she began to manifest as a leader, communication and personality. And then that awareness I was rejecting at the beginning, right? And so then that began in my doctoral program, probably back in, about 12 years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago. And then I rejected it, right? This is not me. I'm wired this way. I don't wake up. This is no coffee, folks, and it's early in the morning. There's no coffee. It's just how it's been for 45 years. So now you want me to change who I am? And I'm not even trying to be how I am? No. In fact, that's a hard no. In fact, I'm going to become more of who I am because you're telling me to change. So I went through that season for a while. Then after getting consistent feedback from people who I knew were not against me, because sometimes we often cast off feedback as haters. They don't like me, but not when it's coming from your own family.
Yeah.
Not when it's coming from your pastors who I know loved me. Not when it's coming from siblings, not when it's coming from friends, not when it's coming from teams that I've led for years who have sat under my leadership, but now they find their little legs to be able to stand up and say, oh, it's a little harsh. So when I begin to get feedback from literally all sides, I had to stand and take awareness. So I don't know that I was standing. Maybe I perhaps threw myself to the ground, right? And went through this season of listening to this cognitive dissonance. Now I'm trying to be authentic to who I am, feel the passion, I get things done. And now I'm grappling with now this new awareness that, yes, that's great, but not all the time. Yes, that's great, but not it's at the stake of you pulling somebody else down because they're not doing the project fast enough. So then I grapple with that. Then I went to this process of accepting, but not really believing I could. So that I know I need to, because that now, how you are giving me the feedback, that's not who I am at the core as a person. So hearing this now and embracing it, how do I change? Because that doesn't, check this out, reflect my real value system. So then I went through that phase, and then I began to intentionally have mentors who have been telling me for years. I began to hear them again. Then I joined the John Maxwell team, John Mentorship, begin to get mentors there. And then surround myself with people who were intentional about growth and transparency. And then not in a moment, right? But the consistency of me continuing to be aware, continuing to place myself in growth environments, very transparently. And listen to this, with mentors that were going to tell me the truth. Not mentors that just fluffed my back, but mentors that were going to say, go sit down, little girl, go sit down. Right now, your leadership right now, that is what you just said to your team. Serving them or serving you and your timeline. So it was consistent feedback. But then that's here's the beauty of the story. It began to take. It, like, little by little, that the inner cores begin to take. Now, let me give you the balance. I still am all that I was before. That's the balance. However, with awareness, we can increase versatility. Was wired this way. You're wired, if you're watching this, the way you are intentionally, in my thinking, by God. So it's not about you changing. It's about increasing versatility so that as leaders, we can serve the audience that's before us. So it's not about you being fake. It wasn't about me being fake. It was about, I'm called to serve. And because now my value system, check this out, weighed more than my natural system, I submit my natural system to my value system. That means more to me than anything.
That's
so
good.
If Kenisha naturally is not honoring my value system, then Kenisha naturally is going to have to increase her versatility. And that is what I have been doing for at least the last decade or two. That's now, awesome. Have I arrived? No, but I'm on the way. So go ahead, Dr. Michael.
Wow, that's awesome. So we just from what you shared, you've talked about your awareness and how you begin to pay the price, and then put yourself in the growth environment. And just for information, there was this research being done. I mean, this is a true story about the shark. And when the shark was little, they put the shark in a little tank. And because of the size of the tank, the shark only grew for 8 inches. The same shark was left, just the same breed, the same family shark and all that, was put in the ocean, unrestricted, unscripted. This shark grew more than 8 foot. What is the difference between the shark of more than 8 feet shark and 8 inches shark? The same DNA. The only difference is the environment. So our environment is key to our development.
Yes.
John Maxwell defined a growth environment using 10 different things that time will not permit us to say at this place. Now, who are the mentors that have poured into? I believe there are 3 different types of relationships: those that are above us, those that are at our level, and those that are under us that we are supposed to pour into. So who are the people that have inspired and have watered and nurtured this leadership potential for your leadership advancement? Thank you.
So ultimately the Lord, right? But we're not going to go there. As a believer, the leading and guiding of the Holy Spirit, ultimately, but I'm going to give you a practical answer as well. First of all, it's my mom. She's been there from the beginning. Now, I can't say I've always listened to that, right? Because that was just mom. And my style is very different than her. On the disc, I'm an ID, she's an S. So she's been telling me stuff for years. I'm like, okay, mom, okay, mom, okay, mom. And then came into my life, but she was right the entire time. Aren't moms, for the most part, always right? So then when I look at now, my pastors have been my mentors for over 23, going on 24 years. And they have been in my ear about not being impressed about who I am, about speaking truth to me, even when I didn't want to hear the truth, and they didn't care. And when I say didn't care, it doesn't mean that they didn't care about me. They didn't care about feelings and emotions, because real mentors are going to speak the truth in love. Yeah. And even when it didn't feel like love, it was love, because they could see what I could not in my own leadership. But check this out. You have to submit yourself to those leaders. Yeah. And then on the John Maxwell team, there is Deb and Gino. I was on a call with her one time and she's like, listen, you're talking too much. What's the story? Okay, I told her the story. She says, put up your big girl pants and you're in the law of the stretch. You're going to be fine. And I was like, is that it? Mentors, right? They can see it. They can diagnose it. They're going to give you a set of instructions, and it's up to you to embrace that. Mark Cole, Chris Robinson, John Griffin. I mean, the list goes, Roddy Gilbert. The list goes on and on and on. And check this out. We can't just have one mentor in everything. Like my baby brother, he's my mentor when it comes to my finances. He's 11 and a half years younger than me. He is a whiz. The boy is a genius when it comes to dealing with money and budget and stewardship. So I submitted myself to his mentorship. And I'm not too prideful to say that, because he's a genius there. Yeah. So the only mentor who can help with all is the Holy Spirit, which for me as a believer, but because I don't always listen to him and feel like I can hear clearly, I've got several earthly mentors that help me in their area of expertise. Yeah.
And I like what you said. There are several earthly mentors. Yes. Some people think, I don't need to know. There are 3 attitudes to learning. And the first attitude to learning is what we call the arrogant attitude. The arrogant attitude is that no one can teach me anything. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, no one. That's the arrogant attitude. The second attitude to learning is the naive attitude, that only one person can teach me everything. And the right attitude, to learning is the last one, that everyone can teach me something. When I was training as a medical doctor, and towards that training, there are different units that you have to go through, the obs and gynecology. You have to go through the ophthalmology. I mean, all different rotation. The ENT, you have to go through that rotation. The curriculum was designed. I mean, so that means you need all different mentors.
Yes.
In order to become a medical doctor, you have to go through all those. We have the specialties, we have general surgery, we have the internal medicine, all those. We have the psychiatry, you have the community health. All is part of our training. So we did all rotation. Now, and that's what some people think. We need to know that we need every kind of mentor. You have to choose the mentor in that area. So the last question for today is this. A lot of people doesn't see the need for mentorship, and they think that when the days in which you can access anything on the net, on YouTube, you can get any book, which is good, which is fine. But the thing is, this podcast, we emphasizing the significance of mentorship, because I believe that mentors deliver us from tormentors of life. I believe
that again. You better say that again, Dr. Michael.
Mentors deliver us from tormentors of life. And without a coach, we will be a victim of reproach. And this is so true. And that's the thing about it. We all need a coach.
Yes.
We all need a coach. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, our chief want in life is someone who will inspire us to be what we could be. And if you hear the word coach, this book that has helped me a lot, Aspire by Kevin O. It talks about, in those days, a coach is like a horse attached to a carriage that they used to carry eminent personality from one place of the town to another. And he said a coach is someone who carries a valued person, from where they are to where they could be. And a good coach cares for the people. A good coach observes the attitudes, behaviors and performance of the people that they are coaching. A good coach align, them, with their strength for peak performance. A good coach communicates and give feedbacks about the performance of the people that they coach. And a good coach help, the people they coach to improve their lives and performance. I just shared the acronym COACH.
Yes.
COACH. That's what I just shared right now. So we all need a coach. So what role has mentorship plays in Dr. Kenisha Williams' life? And number 2 question is, what role are you playing to pour into other people, other emerging leaders? So let's make it short and sweet and get out of here.
So the first one, it's everything. It's what I told you. Without having mentors, a third-party person are people that really sort of have no skin in the game, right? So they don't have anything to lose. If you do or don't do, they can see what we can't see because we're in the game. It reminds me of boxing, where we're in there and we're hitting, we're throwing the punches, but we can't see what our eye looks like. But our corner man or corner woman can. That's what coaches are. So when we go up to the corner person, they're like, okay, you're fine. I'm winded. You're fine. I'm telling you that the eye cut doesn't look too bad. Or they might say, no, I'm calling it out. No, I can do it. No, you need to take it. You need to sit this one out, because right now whatever they say, they're doing it from a third party perspective where they're watching all sides. And they've got experience that perhaps we don't have, and they can speak into that from a place that's going to help us. So it plays to me everything. Think about the coach people. Did Michael Jordan have a coach? I think he did. Did Kobe Bryant? And I don't care what we feel about these people personally. That's not my point. They had undeniable skill, period, whether we like them or not. Tiger Woods, coach. For all of the people who are successful, we would say maybe number one thing, have coaches. So what does that say to us, right? We continue to excel with the coach. Now, who am I coaching? Anyone that will let me. But let me be more intentional. So there are a couple people, I'm not going to say their names, that are in my life to where I am coaching and mentoring them and giving feedback. But listen to this. You have to be a mentee to have a mentor.
Yeah.
Because coaches are not going to push themselves on you. In fact, a good coach or mentor will just sit back until you say, okay, in fact, this just happened to me today. I was at a meeting and there was someone who I thought I made it clear that they were one of my mentors. They said, but you never asked me officially. And I'm so intentional. And I said, guess what? This is the official asking. I need you in my life because there's something that you have, a local businesswoman that's super successful. I said, there's a way that you have walked that you can teach me. But check this out. I promise that as I walk that way, I'm not going to waste your time and I'll do what you tell me to do so that I can make your time valuable. That's on both ends. So that would be my answer to that question.
That was awesome. Dr. Kenisha, it's really been a good time having you on Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast. So how can people connect with Dr. Kenisha? How can people find you?
So a couple of ways. On my website, www.drkenishawilliams.com, DrKenisha Williams.com. I'm on all social media platforms, Transform Nation, at Transform Nation on Facebook, at Transform Nation 411. I'm on Instagram, YouTube account, Dr. Kenisha Williams, and placing content. And my last thought I would say, Dr. Michael, is this world needs you, leaders. If you're watching this world needs you to be at your best. They need people like us as leaders, like Dr. Michael, that are going to go out, listen to this, and add significance from a place of value. And that's what I know my friend Dr. Michael is. He's a values-based leader. So connect with him because I know he's going to be able to be an excellent mentor and coach that's going to change your life forever. But you have to make the intentional choice to submit yourself and get his coaching. So thank you so much, Dr. Michael.
You're welcome. And with this, we conclude this edition of Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast. We want to say thank you to our guest, Dr. Kenisha Williams. Thanks for coming. Until we bring you another valuable person next time, have a blessed time. Bye.